Hey guys, hoping all is well with everyone. So in today's video, we're going to be continuing the read aloud of The Secret Zoo, the final fight. Last time we finished, we completed chapter 33, but we were left on a huge cliffhanger. Basically, at the very end of the chapter, after Tank had pretty much bulldozed DeGraff into Lots of Latte, Richie, Ella had pretty much led off their firefly attack, which composed of the idea of them holding on and grasping the fireflies in their palms and fists as hard as they could until they pretty much couldn't anymore, and they released a crazy amount of light. And verbatim at the end of the chapter, it stated, "And then a minute, DeGraff became silent, and then he became more and more still." And that was after all the fireflies had let off their incredible amount of bioluminescence. But we're going to jump into 34 today, and I hope you guys enjoy the read. Chapter 34, 11:59. No one noticed that the ravine was getting brighter and brighter. He looked toward the top of the mountainside and saw light filtering through the curtain to the city of species. On the drawbridge, the small group of Sasquatches was scattering, and even with the distance and the noisy river, Noah could hear their howls. He had no doubt that the light was coming from the fireflies at Lots of Latte. What's going on?" Charlie nervously asked as he, too, saw the light. He was still lying on the ground, Noah's tail hovering above him. "What are you up to?" Noah turned to Charlie and saw that his arms were almost back to their natural length, and his eyes weren't as red. DeGraff, Noah realized, was being doused in the firefly light. He filled with hope and glanced at his watch just as 11:58 became 11:59. 1 minute was all he had. He looked out at the river. The hummingbirds were still holding the primary portal just above the water. Combined, they were stronger than Noah could ever have imagined, and with that the realization came an idea. Noah turned to Marlo, who was perched on his shoulder again, and said, "The hummingbirds. Tell them to turn the curtain toward me, away from the river." Marlo sprang from Noah's shoulder and flew to the hummingbirds. He darted back and forth along the top edge of the curtain, chirping wildly. After a few seconds, the hummingbirds slowly swung the primary portal around like a door to face Noah and Charlie. The curtain, perhaps 30 feet away, stopped short of the sides of the ravine, allowing space for an escape. "Kid, what are you doing?" Charlie asked, a quiver in his voice. Noah reached into his jacket pocket and pulled out the mod. Then he held it in one hand so that Charlie could see. "This," he said, and he pressed the button. For a moment, Noah worried that the multipoint wouldn't work, but then the primary portal began to ripple and sway as the wind from all the Secret Zoo sectors pushed against it. And then Noah heard something. A rumble, the sound of a stampede. Charlie, his eyes still faintly glowing red, jumped to his feet and fixed his gaze on the primary portal. He took a step back, then another, and another. "All the gateways in the Clarksville Zoo have been recalibrated," Noah said. Then he nodded to the primary portal, adding, "They're all joined here." "No!" Charlie said, shaking his head. "That's impossible!" "Then what's that sound?" Charlie listened. The rumble of the stampede grew louder and louder. Noah took off running for the other side of the portal, wondering if he could make it in time, and nervously watching for the first animal to break through. Chapter 35, 11:59. Ella opened one eye. The fireflies were dimming, and she could see things. A long countertop, tables and chairs, a row of large coffee makers, lots of latte. People were standing around, her friends, Jordan, and Mr. Darby. Hundreds of fireflies dotted the air, spots of softening light. Tank was kneeling, and Ella saw a scattering of things around and beneath him. A trench coat, a fedora hat, boots, gloves, and a stark white skeleton. "Tank!" Ella said. Colors began to bleed back into the world. Ella walked over to Tank and stood beside him to take a closer look at what remained of DeGraff, the man-creature who had haunted the secret zoo for nearly 100 years. As the dimming firefly light continued to shine, the skeleton beneath Tank began to crack and turn to dust. Dust that flew out from openings in the coat and blew away in the breeze from the open door. Bone dust swirled into the air and shined like dust captured in a slant of morning sunlight. A thin, continuous layer blew off DeGraff's skull. The skull thinned and thinned, and then a cavity opened in the bone and began to elongate. The hole joined to the other sockets, the eyes and nose, and then the skull collapsed, yellow teeth clicking against the hard floor, all of the elevated spots in DeGraff's clothes. The places where his bones were flattened. In little more than a minute, DeGraff's entire skeleton was gone. The floorboards creaked as Richie, Megan, and Jordan walked up, leaving footprints in the bone dust. Mr. Darby, who was already standing next to Tank, stared down at the jacket, the hat, the gloves. Tank looked up at the old man, and Ella could hear the question in his gaze. It was the same question everyone in the room had. Mr. Darby squatted and picked up the fedora. He turned it in his hand, studying its details. Then he let it fall from his grip. He glanced at everyone. Then he touched the transmit button on his headset. "Anyone there?" "I'm here," Sam answered, and Ella heard his voice in her ear. "I'm still outside Technical Tower. The storm, it's starting to clear. Sam, I need you to do something." "What is it?" Sam asked. "I need you to gather our troops and let them know that DeGraff is dead." The airways fell silent. Ella realized she was holding her breath. Are you sure?" Sam asked. Mr. Darby lifted the empty sleeve of DeGraff's trench coat, and more dust fell through the opening. "Quite certain," he said. "Roger," Sam shouted, his voice pulsing with energy. Mr. Darby looked at Ella, Richie, Megan, Jordan. Then he put his hand on Tank's shoulder, and one side of his mouth curled up in a smile. "He's gone," he said. "The Shadowist is no more." Ella traded glances with Richie and Megan. Then the three friends ran into one another's arms. Ella felt her chest shudder, and tears blurred her sight. She began to cry, and she didn't care that everyone could see her. It was over. Almost. And I'll stop the video there, ending kind of with another cliffhanger, but a lot of intense things happen. And one thing I want to call your guys' attention to is in a situation like what we kind of just saw, where both chapters have the same title, which was The Time of 1159. It kind of just represents the two core pieces of the two subplots that were taking place. One was between the altercation of Noah and Charlie Red, trying to get the multi-point completed, and then you had the other situation of DeGraff's final moments and death. And those were kind of a strategy, I believe, of the author too, to kind of really highlight those 2 points in 2 different chapters. But we still have a little bit to go here, so I hope you guys enjoyed the read today, and I hope you guys will have a great rest of your week, and we look forward to seeing you in the continuation of the Secret Zoo, the final fight, as we kind of come closer and closer to its conclusion. Now that we have definitely reached the climax of the story. But I hope you guys are doing well, and again, thank you so much for watching. Please take good care and be safe. Bye.